What has been used on one side is lost on the other side. There is no going back.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at movies that breathe new life into the horror genre in 2024, although a couple of these technically had their world premieres a year prior.
There is nothing holy here. Your religious text is mere ornament.
Number 10, A Quiet Place Day 1. The first two Quiet Place movies were about survival, so is this prequel, but it's more about closure for our protagonist.
See, I might be dead by then.
Oh yeah, you might, but if you're not dead, it's short and it's in the city. When's the last time you were in the city?
Last time was supposed to be the last time.
Well, here's another time.
Before aliens fell from the sky, Lupita Nyong'o's Sam was already in hospice. She's accepted fate, but Sam wants a slice from her favourite pizza joint first. A terminal illness won't stop her, and neither will an invasion.
We have to head back now.
Why?
Something's happening in the city and they want us back ASAP.
But we're getting pizza first.
No, we're gonna have to rain check the pizza.
Although her motivation sounds simple, the emotional stakes remain high, as do the physical ones. The heavily populated urban backdrop adds another layer of intensity to a premise where the slightest sound equals death. While the setting is grander, there's a personal story at the film's core. Even if you sense where some journeys will end, we fear for the characters every step of the way.
It's good to have been back.
Number 9, Smile 2. 2022's Smile performed better than anyone could have expected.
You're going to die. You're going to die. You're going to die.
While it would have been easy for the inevitable sequel to rehash the same formula, Smile 2 elaborates on the original's creepy concepts. Where the first film explored trauma, Smile 2 adds substance dependency and the price of fame to the mix. These elements flow together naturally, but the film's secret weapon is Naomi Scott's arresting performance.
You okay? Can you take a break? You sure?
Let's just get through this.
Scott makes us feel every ounce of paranoia as a pop star who can't escape the spotlight or the eerie smiles following her. For all the gore and jump scares, the film also gets under our skin with more universal fears. Let's just say, if you were afraid of public speaking before, one scene will completely take your breath away.
Ooh. Sorry about that.
Number 8, Odity. Carolyn Bracken is fairly new to the silver screen, but she demonstrates limitless screen presence with her dual role here.
Guess what? We are connected.
Bracken plays twins, one of whom is blindsided. The other is literally blind, convinced that her sister's untimely demise was more than meets the eye. The main character in Odity may lack the ability to see, yet she possesses another sense telling her that danger is hiding in plain sight.
Danny would never allow a strange man into her home in the middle of the night.
She isn't the only one who may be in danger. Another threat rests at the crime scene that others fail to recognise. Although Damien McCarthy's film is a slow burn, Odity leaves you on constant edge with its gothic atmosphere. The results balance the power of suggestion and what's right in front of us.
Danny told me what you were like when you were ill, seeing and hearing things that weren't there. Believing things that weren't real. This is not real.
Number 7, I Saw the TV Glow. We've all heard of body horror. I Saw the TV Glow is what we describe as out-of-body horror.
He's always messing with time and reality. He wants to rule the world, to trap Isabel and Tara in the Midnight Realm.
This surreal experience doesn't fall back on the tropes we typically associate with the genre. From start to finish, Jane Schoenbrun's film carries an uncomfortable sentiment. Everything seems purposely a little off, most notably protagonist Owen, played by Justice Smith. A TV show awakens something inside the meek Owen.
Do you ever get confused? Like, maybe the memory isn't quite right?
What do you mean, not quite right?
He isn't entirely sure what that something is, however. As Owen undergoes a lifelong identity crisis, his reality begins to collapse. While there are many ways to interpret the film's meaning, I Saw the TV Glow will resonate with anyone who's ever been forced to repress the person on the inside, screaming to get out.
Come on. I know it's scary. That's part of it.
Number 6, Speak No Evil. Speak No Evil is a textbook example of how to remake a horror film, largely dependent on twists and turns.
You're terrible. Terrible.
You do not know the half of it.
If you've seen the original Danish thriller from 2022, you know this vacation will go down a dark path. James Watkins' adaptation doesn't try to replicate its predecessor beat for beat though. The remake goes in a different direction while preserving the film's central themes.
Quiet around here. I mean, do you guys even have any neighbors?
Yeah, all the way across the valley, but, we look after each other.
Ours are across the hall. I don't think we've ever spoken.
Doesn't hurt having James McAvoy, who effortlessly shifts between being a charismatic host and a possessive captor. As unhinged as this getaway gets, we identify with the pressure to remain gracious guests before finally being pushed to your limits. This is a tense, at times darkly comedic nail-biter that'll convince every viewer to just take a staycation next holiday.
This in here, that's gonna eat you alive. You gotta let it out.
Number 5, Late Night with the Devil. Imagine if Twilight Zone invaded an old episode of The Tonight Show. You'd get Late Night with the Devil.
With its entertaining mix of interviews, music, and sketch comedy, Night Owls with Jack Delroy captures the hearts and minds of midnight America.
The film could also be described as a cross between The Exorcist and Network. Those two aren't as far removed as you might think. To make a killing in the ratings, sometimes you need to make a deal with the devil. Just when you thought the found footage genre had been done to death, siblings Colin and Cameron Cairns took an innovative approach with this lost episode of a 70s late night talk show.
Good to see you again, Jack.
Sorry, I don't believe we've been acquainted.
Don't be a fool. We go way back. We met amongst the tall trees. Remember?
The period production design and cinematography engross us in the era. The whole cast is utterly believable, especially David Dastmalchian as a host who'll give anything to be number one, his soul included.
It's not every day that you see a demonic possession on live television.
Number 4, Longlegs. Longlegs became a surprise box office hit for Neon, even if some viewers walked away conflicted.
It's that one.
What's what one?
3525. He's in there.
Those anticipating a modern Silence of the Lambs only kind of got that. Micah Monroe's Lee Harker is a female FBI agent worthy of Clarice Starling. Like Hannibal Lecter, an unrecognizable Nicolas Cage isn't on screen for long. Whenever his Longlegs killer surfaces, the audience is immobilized with fear.
Excuse me, who are you and why are you talking to my kid?
Even when off-screen, Longlegs looms over the film, creeping up our necks like a spider. While the film blends crime procedural and psychological horror, there's a supernatural element many won't be prepared for. Whether or not you vibe with the outcome, director Osgood Perkins undeniably creates an unsettling ambience, making the audience feel as if they're the ones being watched.
And I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, with 7 heads and 10 horns. And on his horns he wore 10 crowns. On each head was written the blasphemous name.
Number 3, Nosferatu. There have been numerous adaptations of Bram Stoker's Dracula, but 1922's Nosferatu has cast a wide shadow for more than a century. While no remake can surpass its impact, Robert Eggers is perhaps the only living director who could deliver a worthy successor. It's a hellish match made in heaven, as Eggers brings his signature chilling atmosphere to a classic story.
Standing before me was death. But I'd never been so happy.
In terms of sheer scale, Nosferatu might be the year's most beautifully crafted horror film, with cinematographer Jarin Blaschke draping every shot in blood-curdling dread. It also showcases 2 of the year's most transformative performances from Bill Skarsgård and Lily Rose Depp. Whether you've heard this tale before or not, Nosferatu washes over you like a plague you strangely can't resist.
I'm ready.
Number 2, Heretic. Hugh Grant has played villains before, but Heretic pushes the actor to uncharted places that make us wonder why he didn't tackle the horror genre sooner.
Well, ladies, I think it is time.
Time for what?
Time for enlightenment.
At first, Grant seems like his usual charming self. What starts as a friendly conversation about religion snowballs into a more heated debate and possibly a hostage crisis.
If there's no God, and we're just horny microscopic ants floating on a rock through space with no divine purpose and no hope to achieve eternal life, well, that's terrifying too.
Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East are equally excellent as two Mormon missionaries who try to remain polite, initially out of courtesy and eventually for survival. The film plays like an escape room. In addition to challenging the characters' wits, faith is put to the test with both sides making compelling arguments. Heretic doesn't align with one person's philosophy per se, although one thing is for certain: the pie is a lie.
It's a simple choice, but it should not be made simply.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honourable mentions. Abigail. Alicia Weir creates a horror comedy icon.
Joey?
Yeah.
I'm sorry about what's gonna happen to you.
Stop motion. Puppets somehow just got even more sinister.
It must take ages.
It does.
Why bother?
Well, because I like it and I'm good at it. And it feels like you're bringing something to life.
Alien Romulus. Fede Alvarez brings the franchise back to its horror roots.
Yo! Stop playing around, man. Just get out. I'm not playing around. There's something in the water. What do you mean? What is it?
Maxine. Mia Goth is exceptional as always.
I'm not where I want to be yet. I want the good life. I figure acting is acting. I can do just as good of a job as any of those other blondes out there.
Terrifier 3, an instant Christmas classic?
Hi, yes, that's me, guilty as charged.
Hey, Santa, it looks like you got a fan.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Substance. Despite seemingly being set in modern day, The Substance submerges us into a retro world where aerobics TV shows still exist.
You got it! Feel that power, lady! And Mark, get those knees up!
When Coralie Facha's film takes place doesn't matter. Whether this is the 80s or the 2020s, one standard remains. Beauty reigns supreme, and every it girl is eventually replaced with a shiny new model. Demi Moore gives an Oscar-worthy performance as Elizabeth Sparkle, a fading star who'll sacrifice anything to regain her fame.
There's been a slight misuse of the substance. A few extra hours were accidentally used, causing an alteration.
What ensues is an exercise in body horror that speaks to this industry's unforgiving nature. Margaret Qualley also provides a relatable perspective as a young starlet who fails to realise that actions have consequences. Between her recklessness and Elizabeth's desperation, a monster is created that could only emanate from Hollywood.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
What's your favourite horror movie of 2024? Let us know in the comments.
I'll be a little bit of everywhere.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.